Today we will talk about autoscaling. So autoscaling is the main features of cloud computing. Okay, so let me introduce myself at first. So my name is Yue Feng. I'm solution architect and also trainer of Alibaba Cloud Academy International team. So I've been working for Alibaba Cloud since 2018. And before that, I worked, I think, 14 years before Alibaba Cloud experience on IT, especially for data. And since 2018, I work as a solution architect for the first 3 years, and then 3 years as trainer in Europe. Great. So today we'll talk about the autoscaling. At first, autoscaling introduction, and then Q&A, and also demonstrations about the autoscaling. And at the end, we'll talk about, we'll do the demonstration and online quiz. So you'll get 10 questions. And after that, you'll get Alibaba Cloud certification for this session. Okay. So when we talk about the autoscaling, we have to talk about the first pain point, right? The pain point of autoscaling. For most of the time, the demand is not fixed, especially when you hosting a video streaming or gaming service. It's difficult to predict in advance how many resources you will need to meet peak demand. So if you underestimate your requirement, your application will fail under peak load. So if you over provision, you will waste your resource and money. So even in cases where at a particular time, for example, a pre-announced online sale, it's difficult or impossible to forecast actual demand. So the applications with unpredictable peak traffic include video streaming. Demand curve is difficult to predict. Computing resource have to be scaled out based on CPU usage, workload, or bandwidth consumption. And for gaming industry, so the increase in demand occurs at a predictable time. For example, after the workday has ended during the vacations, but exact peak demand is difficult to estimate in advance. For e-commerce use cases, so sudden demand for a particular product can drive unpredictable peak traffic. Predictable peaks occurs on shopping, or for example, Black Friday or shopping festivals or during special sales. So this is a big point for the e-commerce industries, for gaming and for news industries. Okay, so how we can propose on-demand, so the auto-scaling is the answer to adjust the resource to feed the demand curve in real time. So you do not have to worry about your compute capacity when demand surge occurs. Okay. And also the automation. So we can propose automatically create and release ECS instance based on policies you specify, configure load balancers and databases whitelist with no manual operations. So there are different cases of autoscaling. The first use case is scale out, right? So for cloud computing, we have two different solutions to provide more resource. The first resource is we keep the same number of server, but we replace the small server by big servers, and we call that scale up, which means we replace small server by big servers. But if you want to replace small server by big servers, you have to experience downtime. Okay, so you have to stop the server and then change the configurations and restart the server. So you have to prepare for the downtime. And for most of the case, it's difficult to find a bigger server because they still have some limitations on number of virtual CPUs and higher capacity of servers. So for cloud computing, we propose for most of the time scale out, which means we can increase number of servers to provide more resources. Okay, so for cloud computing, we propose scale out, which means we add new servers. So here you may see that we have some load balancer, right, at the beginning. So we can consider these configurations as a e-commerce website. So during the Black Friday, we have more and more customers coming. So in front of all these services, we have a load balancer. So the load balancer should know in the group of servers, we'll add some new servers, right? And the cloud monitor supervise in real time the CPU usage of the group of servers. So if our rule is that if the average CPU usage is higher than 80%, then we will trigger the actions to add one more server or several new servers in the group of servers. And it's not enough just to add new servers in the group of servers, because you have to tell and communicate with the load balancer in front to tell load balancer that, okay, now we have new members in the group, so please take care and add these servers in your list. So if you have a new workload, please allocate the new workload to the new servers also. Okay, and also on the other hand, the system has to communicate with the backend database, right? Because the database has always a whitelist. The 123 server has been already listed in the whitelist of the database. So if the new server has not been added to the whitelist, it cannot have access to the backend database, right? So the system has to communicate with the load balancer in front and the database for the backend. So that's the system should be a good communicator, right? And also communicate with the cloud monitor, load balancer, and relational database service, RDS instance. So we call that auto scaling scale out. So we add new resource. Great. It's good enough if we need more resource, but if when the peak time has finished, now we have many different servers and the average CPU usage is very low, what should we do? We should release, right, the resource to reduce the cost. So the second use case is scale in. Okay, so that's the same logic. If the cloud monitor identify that average CPU usage is lower than certain level, for example, 50% or 30%, and then we think that the resource is too much, we should to release some of the server, and then we can choose one server in the group, and we release the servers. So we should also respect a certain order. So we have different algorithms to choose which service or which server should be released at first. So we can follow first in, first out, or first in, last out, etc. Okay. And for sure, the system should be also a good communicator, right? Because we know that load balancer has already listed. Previously, we have 4 servers, and if the server which released still in the list of load balancer, the load balancer will allocate new workload for the server which has already been released, which is not good, right? So we should communicate with the load balancer to tell the balancer that, okay, please pay attention. Okay, so there's some server has been already released, please remove it from your server list. And also for the backend database, we should remove this server from the whitelist to respect the security policies. Okay, so that's how the auto scaling system work for scale in. And it's not finished because we have still a third use case, which is very interesting. So for some system, for example, SAP usage. For SAP usage, we identify that for performance, it's difficult. It's different from e-commerce website because e-commerce website you don't know how many users may arrive for the service because it's unpredictable, right? But for SAP or ERP system, you know the users are your internal employee, right? So you have 50 or 500 internal users, so they are the users for ERP system. So there's no predictable peak time. So according to the ERP application architect, the right number of instances to support the service internally is 3, right? So you don't need more server, you don't need less server. So 3 server is the good choice. So in the auto scaling service, you can define, okay, the minimum number of instances equals the maximum number of instances equals 3, right? 1 to 3 is enough. But so in your auto scaling, you can configure that minimum equals maximum equals 3. And if something bad happened to one of the server, for example, the server is down for any reason, I don't know, for physical server or CPU problem or networking or whatever, the problem, the server is down, the cloud monitor will immediately recognize that, okay, their server is down. So the number of server actually working is equals to 2, which is less than the number of instances defined at the beginning. Okay, so at the moment, what should we do? So the first possibility is that, okay, so the auto scaling system will keep this instance and keep it aside and waiting for the administrator to identify where the problem comes from and to try to avoid this will not happen next time, and then add a new server. Okay, that's option 1. Option 2 is we will release directly the server which is not working, and we replace by a new server. Okay, so this is the 2 possibilities, 2 options for self-healing. So the self-healing is interesting, which means the cloud monitor will identify if there's something wrong. If there's something wrong, it will try to help themselves, right? So the option A that keep the instance with error and add a new instance. Okay. Option B is release directly the instance with error and add a new instance. Okay. So in the chat box, I provide to you a question with 2 options. Option A is to keep the instance. The second one is to release the instance. So I'll give you 5 seconds so you can type your choice. You can choose A or B. Okay. So you can I'll give you 5 seconds. Okay. Okay, thank you, Al-Haddad. Okay, you choose option B. Anyone else? Great. Okay. So, thank you. Anyone else? So, still give you five seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay. The right answer is B. Right. So, auto scaling does not care what the origin of the issue. So the auto scaling will release directly the server which is down and replace it directly. Okay, so that's what will happen for auto self-healing. Great. Now we know that there are 3 different use cases: self-healing, scale in, scale out. Okay, and auto scaling need something else, because if you want to define the solution, you should also define some rules. So first one, you have to define the minimum number of the service instance, and then the maximum number of instance. Okay, so you have to define minimum and maximum. The reason that you have to define the threshold of the resource. So start from 1 instance, and the maximum number is not limited theoretically. So minimum is 1. So that's the minimum and the maximum. And then you have to define which type of machine you want to add, right? So for example, if you want to add a server with 4 GPU or 8 GPU or 16 GPU of CPU, and also the quantity of the memory, right? You have to define, for example, 32 giga memory or 64 giga memory. So you have to define configurations of the machines, and also the condition to scale out and the condition for scale in. So for our example here, the CPU load average is super than 80%. At that moment, we need to add 2 ECS instances. For the scale in condition, it's a CPU load average is less than 30%, and we'll remove 2 ECS instances. Okay, so that's the scaling rules, the rules to define the actions. And these are the event task. Okay. So to better configure that, we should define this scaling group. So in this scaling group, we should define the minimum number and maximum number. And also we should define which load balancer we're working with database we're working with. Okay, so that's a scaling group. And the scaling configuration will define which type of ECS we want to define. It's all about ECS, which image we need, the type of the ECS, etc. And then we should define also schedule task, because sometimes the schedules should configure according to the time. For example, if we define a system to support an internal team for a CRM system, for example, so we know that everybody in our company will come to the office from 8:30 in the morning, and they will leave office at 6 p.m. Then we should add a new server at 8:30 and reduce the number of server instances at 6 p.m. So we can predict the peak time, so we can schedule the task. The second type of task is event task. So the event could be a trigger on the average CPU usage, or memory usage, or networking usage, whatever. So this is measured by Cloud Monitor, right? And if the task has been triggered with some condition should be time, should be usage of resource, what should we do next? We should add some ECS or remove some ECS, right? So these actions will be defined in scaling rule. Okay, so if you want to build auto scaling in a full life cycle, we should define scaling group, scaling configuration for ECS for the instance. We should choose schedule task or event task. We should one of them or both of them, and also scaling rules for the real actions we have to take. Okay, so that's the whole definitions of this scaling group. So scaling group configuration for the instance. The task, we have two types of task: schedule task or event, and also the real actions defined in the scaling rules. So if you talk about the scaling group have different parameters. The first two parameters are minimum number of instance, maximum number of instance, and default cooldown time. This is interesting. So what is cooldown time? Imagine that we have the auto cloud monitor supervise the instance resource all the time in real time. And at one moment, the average CPU usage is higher than 80%. And then the cloud monitor will send a message or notification to auto scaling, which said, okay, now the average CPU usage is higher than 80%. Please do something. Okay, and then the auto scaling will trigger the task, right, to add 2 new ECS. But we know that it will take some time, right? It will take some time to add new ECS. It will take 1 minute or 2 minutes. During this 1 or 2 minutes, what will happen? The average CPU usage is still at very high level, 80%, higher than 80%. So the cloud monitor will keep sending the alert, keep sending the notification to auto scaling. Now the average usage CPU is higher than 80%. Please do something. 10 seconds later, the cloud monitor send another notification. Please do something. The average CPU usage is still higher than 80%. So every 5 seconds or 10 seconds, cloud monitor will keep sending this alert until the new server has been added and the average usage of CPU become lower. So during this time, we'll receive a huge number of alerts. So at that moment, we should ignore all the alerts. So during this period, we call the cooldown time. Right? So we call it the cooldown time. So we have 2 or O. Sorry about that. So cooldown time. So if we imagine that we do not provide any cooldown time, imagine that there's no cooldown time, what will happen? So every 5 seconds or 10 seconds, we'll add 2 new ECS, right? Which is not good. Imagine that we keep receiving the notification from cloud monitor. Please do something. The average CPU usage is higher than 80%. Okay. Once we receive the notification, we add a new 2 new ECS. 10 minutes after, we add 2 new ECS. After that, maybe we add 200 new ECS. And then we realize that there are too many new ECS added to the group, and the average usage of CPU is too low. It's maybe 10% only. And then the notification from cloud monitor will be, okay, please attention, the average CPU usage is too low. Please do something. Okay, you'll remove 2 ECS, and 10 seconds after, the cloud monitor will send another notification. The average usage of CPU is too low. Please remove 2 ECS. Okay, remove 2 ECS until the minimum number of the instance. and then we realize that the average usage of ECS is too high again, right? If we do not define the cooldown time, we'll receive too many useless alerts, and which is bad. The usage will be too high and then too low, too high, too low all the time, which is not good. It's not stable. So that's the reason why we should define a cooldown time. And during this cooldown time, we'll ignore all the notifications from cloud monitor, right? To keep the system stable, because we know to add new ECS, it will take some time, right? So the default cooldown time is 5 minutes, so it's 300 seconds. Okay, great. And next step is the associated load balancer. So we should define the associated load balancer and also the associated database, right? Because we should notify the load balancer that we are adding new servers in their list, or remove the server in their list, and also to communicate with the backend database to change their whitelist. Okay. Now I still have another question for you. So, which of the following are components of Alibaba Cloud Scaling? So it's a multiple answer question. Yeah, please, you can type your answer in the chat box. So that's it could be multi-answer. Okay, which of the following are components of Alibaba Cloud Auto Scaling? Option A, scaling group. Is scaling group a part of auto scaling? And B, scaling configuration. Option C, auto recovery. Option D, scaling group. Okay, I give you 5 seconds to type your answers here. Please type your answers here. Right. So,
Musulatang pagkabagi ba?
I got some answer. No, ABD. Anyone else? So give you several seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Okay, great. Let's check. So we have 3 answers: scaling group, scaling configuration, and scaling rules. Auto recovery is not part of the auto scaling component. Okay, so let me show you again this slide. So we have the scaling group. In scaling group, we have, for scaling group, we have 5 parameters, right? Minimum number, maximum number, cooldown time, SRB, database. Okay, so that's scaling group. And then we have scaling configuration. So in the configuration, we define which image should be used for creating the new instance, and how many vCPU, how many memory we should use for this instance, and also the storage capacity. And then the schedule task or event task, and also scaling rules. Great. Next step, I would like to show you a demonstration. Okay. Let me go to the Alibaba Cloud console. Okay. Then, so once you get into the Alibaba Cloud, at first I would like to invite you to get the Alibaba Cloud account. So let me show you how to get an account. I will share the link for the login. Just give me 1 second. I'll write to you the link. So this is sign up link. Okay, so that's it. Let me share with you this link in the chat box. Okay, this is Okay. So please click this link. Please click the link and go to individual account. Individual account and click next. And then you can enter your email. And choose the password. Okay, choose a password. Okay, great. And then click sign up. And here you have two options. First options, you can register by your phone number, mobile phone. Otherwise, you can choose email. Okay. So here I will choose my email because I don't want to share my cell phone number directly for the first time. And then you can choose the country where you're based. I'm based in France. And then you can click the button send. And the system will send to you a 6-digital activation code. So you can open your email box and copy the 6-digital number here and check the term of use. Okay, you have normally 60 seconds to copy paste the activation code. And then you can click sign up. Okay. So once you sign up, you will get Alibaba Cloud International account. Sometimes the system will insist to ask you your phone number, your credit card information, so you can ignore that. You can reopen the link again. You can just ignore that. Okay. Unless you want to really buy Alibaba Cloud resource or buy Alibaba Cloud products. Okay, to follow Alibaba Cloud's course and pass the exam, you don't have to provide your credit card information. Okay. And after that, I would like to provide to you a quiz. So this is a quiz link. Okay, so let me show you this link. Once you get your account, so you can try to pass this certification. Let me copy the image. So you can scan your QR code. So to pass this online quiz, you need Alibaba Cloud account, right? Otherwise, you cannot have access to this quiz. Okay, so that's a quiz. So you can start to do the quiz now, and during the quiz, I will prepare Alibaba Cloud auto scaling demonstration. Okay, so I just share with you this link. So you can go to this quiz and you can enter the test. Okay, and then so there are 10 questions. But don't worry, if you failed for the first try, there's no number of tries for this online quiz. Okay, so if you get 7 good answers, you can get this certification. Okay. So I'll give you 10 minutes. During the time, I will prepare the called auto scaling demonstration. Please let me know if you have any question. Okay, so I'm doing, let me try it again. We see that the issue of the resolution, right? So I'm trying to share with you this resolution. I don't know if it's better. Okay, so I think it's due to the networking issue and the capabilities of the Zoom. Let me try to provide and Zoom doing here is I'm trying to edit this, right? Because I want to simulate these auto scaling. So here I'm editing. I'm trying to add load balancer and RDS. Okay, so I'm adding RDS and now I'm trying to add load balancer. Okay, great. So this is RDS is creating, and then I go to the load balancer, service load balancer, SLB, service balancer. So I'll try to build this architecture in Frankfurt region. Okay, so I want to go to the cluster load balancer instance in Frankfurt. So I want to create several load balancer. So it's I want to build a pay-as-you-go load balancer. After the cost, I will relieve the results. Germany, multi-zone, Europe Zone 1, okay, it's a name, well, given in my SRB. So, internet. And then I'll create this load balancer. Great. Activate now. Now I have one class load balancer, my SRB, and then go to the SRB. I want to create a listener, a new listener. And listener is TCP, HTTP. I want to create HTTP. Listener port is 80. Listener name. HTTP 80 as a name of listener. And the round robin, okay, already round robin. Okay, I can choose already round robin, and then next. Okay, great. So here I want to build a server group. So I select this create a server group. I give it name as a server group. As a demonstration for auto scaling. And then we can add this server group. Okay, so next. Okay, so we have this next. Submit. Now we are adding new load balancer. So this is a new load balancer. So when we come back to this slide, now we have load balancer. We have Visual Database Service, RDS. Okay, now we're building this auto scaling structure. So the first thing is the scaling group, right? We have to define the scaling group. And the scaling group has these configurations. Okay, so let's come back to the server load balancer. So we go to this auto scaling. Auto scaling. Okay, so I should be in the same region, Germany. Right? I want to create a new scaling group, and I'll give the scaling group as a name. So it's my scaling group. Demo. Okay. And here we have two options. So the scaling group works for ECS and also works for Elastic Container Instance. So this is interesting. So the scaling group works not only for ECS but also for ECI containers. Okay, here we have different configurations. So we create from scratch. And the minimum number of instances is 1. Okay. You can define from there. Okay. 0 is possible. Okay. And then maximum number of instances 3, for example, or 5. And the full cooldown time, okay, 300 minutes. So we get 120 to be more reactive. VPC. So should VPC my ECS, my Europe VPC, we should stay in the same VPC as load balancer, and also database, RDS. And we can choose a virtual switch, zone A. We can choose multiple zone C, B, A, for example, which means we can distribute the instance in 3 different zones. And then we can choose advanced settings. In the advanced settings, we can define the CRB instance. So here in the CRB, my SRB, and in my SRB, we should find also the virtual server group, right? User group, that's what we have defined, and we should delete the default server group. Okay, so that's the virtual server group for auto-scaling. Okay, correct. So number is 80. And then we should also define the RDS. So we should add database. The database is the RDS database. And the database in the region is RDS. We just define it from it. Associate mode is IP whitelist. Okay, great. Now we have defined the fixed key parameters: minimum number, maximum number, cooldown time, SRB, and database. Good. Now we're back, and then we can create the scaling group. Okay. The operation is 64, 64, 64. Okay, create. So it's not finished because after that we should also define scaling configuration, because we don't know yet which type of ECS we should add, right? So we should define the image, the number of virtual CPUs, and memory of the instance. Okay, so this is my scaling configuration. I should give it a name, my ECS scaling configuration. And it's pay-as-you-go type. And now we should choose the images. And locally, I have an image. Okay, so create the server A. I've already installed everything on the server A, so I don't need to reinstall everything, which is good. This is a web server. And then we should specify which kind of ECS we want to install. So for virtual CPU, and the minimum number of CPU, the maximum number of CPU, etc. Right? So we have to add enterprise level, and here we have the list of instances available. So we have this 4 virtual CPU, 8 GB memory. So that's SN1A large, SN1, all this. Okay. So if you prefer this one, you can keep it in the list. Otherwise, you can remove them. Exclude instance. I don't like this one. Exclude instance. Exclude instance. Exclude file. Exclude fix. Exclude fix E. So I keep this C7. So this one I think I don't need this one. C8, okay, I prefer this in this list. So please keep in mind that it is better to have multiple instance types, because if you provide only one, if this type is sold out, you cannot provide any instance, so you may fail the auto scaling, right? So it's better to have multiple types. Okay, I saw that you have a question. The minimum number in scaling group, okay, the minimum number is 0, right? I think there's a question in the quiz, which is minimum number of scaling. The right answer is 0. Okay. Great. And the size of a system disk, okay, provide 20. Great. You don't need to public IP because we have a auto-scaling server load balancer. So we can keep this password inside of the image. Great. We can create this security book. So security book is checkbook. And then we can create this instance. Okay, we should maybe provide a higher disk size, maybe 40. Okay, so I can create. Okay, so there's some options. Okay, so the disk size, so we should interpart enhance SSD. Okay, so turn it. And so because some type of storage is not available for the instance, now we can have this. Okay, available. Great. We create this configuration. The scaling configuration is created, so we can enable it. Now enable scaling configuration. Okay. Okay. Now let's go to the basic information. You can check how many, what has happened. So we can refresh. So the minimum number of instances is 1. The maximum number of instances is 5. So we can have this. We can refresh. So yeah, now we have adding 1. Okay, we adding 1. So it's not in service because it's creating, right? We can go to scaling activities to check what is happening. So at this moment, we have successfully added 1 ECS instance. Right. So let's go to this information. Now, if we refresh, we should have 1 in service. Yeah, now we have 1 in service. So let's go to the load balancer. Load balancer, we should have this instance. So let's go to the load balancer. And in the vServer group, we'll have 1 server. Yeah, you can see that. There's 1 server already available. And if we open this IP, we normally should have this server available, right? Welcome to Nginx Server 1. Okay. So you can try this service. I'll just provide to you the IP address. Now this is server just added to the service. Okay, let's go to the database. Right, the database should be already operational. Okay. Let's go to the RDS. What we need is to check RDS whitelist. Let's check the whitelist. Okay, let's check the whitelist. So the whitelist has added 1 server, 192, 168.2.3.19. So let's check if that the server we have. So we check the instance. Okay, so this is the instance. Yeah, the instance we have added has been successfully added to the RDS whitelist, right? We can see that. Okay. And now I want to change the auto-scaling, right? We go to the basic information, and then we can check, okay, I want to I want to modify the minimum number of instance, and then we should add enable expected number of service. So 2. Okay, so we expect 2 server to work all the time. Okay, which means the actual server is 1. What I expect is 2. So this one is optional. It's not mandatory. It's optional. But if you can refresh, normally you will check. So as we expect 2 server, 1 server will be added. Okay. And then let's go to the scaling rules. Now we want to create the scaling rules. So the scaling rules is add to ECS, right? And then we should start time. So this is a trigger, right? So that could be event triggered or task triggered. So we can choose the event, and then we can add 2 more ECS. So that's the rule. And we have go to the task name. For example, this name is task name is CPU average usage higher than 0.1. Okay. Then we can add some agent CPU usage. So you can choose different KPIs: memory, networking, system disk write, read, write. Okay, for me, I'll take the average superior than, I don't know, maybe 0.01. Okay, no, it's too difficult. 0.01, and then this situation, which lasts for 15 seconds and more than 3 times, I will trigger this event. Okay, so to make it more sensitive, I will keep it to the shortest period, and the less times. Okay, and then this is event. If the CPU average usage is higher than 0.1, I will add. This is add to ECS. Okay. Okay, so then we can add this. Okay, 2 seconds, 2 minutes. Okay, I can add this trigger. Okay, so this action has been activated. So here we can find the event trigger task. If the CPU average usage higher than 0.1, okay, and go to the monitoring, check if the usage of the service is higher than 1%. So you should call more this service. You should refresh. So please help me to try to open to call this service as much as possible to try to simulate a lot of visitors. Let's go to the monitoring. Okay, let's go to the ECS usage. Normally, I should have higher usage here, right? Okay, so the average is higher than, and we should keep it refresh all the time. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so let's check the activity. Okay. So normally, when we back to the information, and the average usage now is in service 2. Okay. Okay. So let's go to the activities. Now we are adding 2 ECS. Okay, you can see that because we have a higher usage of CPU. Let's go to this instance. You can see that we have now 4 servers because the expected number of servers is 2. We add 1, and then we build. Many people try to hit the server all the time, so we have a very high usage. And now we have 2 more servers added according to this rule. Okay. And you can see that they are rejected because, well, during the cooldown time, okay, you cannot add more during the cooldown time. So let's see the load balancer. And the load balancer in the server of load balancer, let's check. Now you can see that we, in the load balancer, the server group, all the instances created by autoscaling has been automatically added to the vServer group of load balancer, right? And then go to the database. So previously we have only 1, right? So we have to refresh to check. Normally it should have 4. You can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 IP address. So these are the servers instance added by autoscaling, which shows exactly the autoscaling works very well with load balancer and RDS, right? Okay. Now we can reduce the resource. So we have to go to the event triggers, and we can new task. So for example, release, average usage is lower than 0.5, for example. Average usage is lower than 0.05. Now we can contain only numbers and can contain one decimal place. Okay, so more than 1 minute, and then one time. Okay, so we will create rules. The rule should be remove, right? Release 1 E6, release 2 E6, release 4 E6. Okay, we can try to do that. Less than 0.1 for 1 minute, one time, okay, and then okay. So the actions will be remove 4 ECS instance. Okay. Okay. Then we can go to the schedule activities. So we'll check what is happening during this time. And we can go to the basic configurations. Now we have 5 in service. And if the service, nobody use this website, they will remove the instance. But keep in mind that the minimum number of instance and maximum number of instance is very strict. So even you ask to remove 10 ECS, they won't remove 10 ECS. They'll remove with the best efforts until the minimum number of instances. So at least we'll have 1 instance. The maximum 5. And for the expected number of instances, we should change. And then we should change. We don't want to this one. Okay. Okay. Then we go to the scaling activities. We'll check what is happening. We'll take some time to reduce the instance. So let's check the monitoring. Okay, nobody is working with this server, so the average usage 1.8. Oh wow, this is still very high, right? It's very high. So we should maybe change the rules, because this rule should be changed a little bit. 0.1 is too low. So let's check. Even trigger task. So this is edit. And then 80%. Okay. And edit. It's more relevant. Okay. There's alert because the trigger has been activated all the time. So because the average percentage is too low at the beginning. Okay. And then we can go to scaling activities, and we'll wait for after the cooldown time, what will happen. Okay. So normally the service is the average CPU usage very low, and then they will trigger the release of ECS. So let's go to the schedule activities, and it will take 1 minute. Okay. Now the average usage is very low, so they remove 4 ECS in instance. So they are removing the ECS. Let's check the number of instances now. Now it's only 1 ECS. In the basic configurations, now we have only 1 ECS. If you go to the load balancer, if you refresh this page, okay, so now we have only 1 ECS in the load balancer. Let's go to the RDS. In the whitelist, normally we should keep only in the last one. We should refresh. Okay, now you can see that we still have the last server available. Live server. auto scaling. I'd like to invite you for this for the trainer survey. So to evaluate my performance today. Okay, so let me share with you this link. Okay, trainer survey. Okay, so thank you for your time. So I hope this course will help you to better understand how autoscaling works with Alibaba Cloud. Please let me know if you have any question. So I try to answer your question. So this is a Q&A time. And also I'd like to invite you to spend 1 minute to provide us your feedbacks via trainer survey. Yes, we do have web hosting service on the cloud. So you can buy ECS and configure your web server on ECS. Okay, thank you for your time. Okay. Thank you very much. I hope this course help you. Great. So great. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you next time. So the session will end in 2 minutes, and please let me know if you need any help. Okay, on the disable the scaling group or directly disable. Okay. So when you disable the scaling group, the ECS will be released. Okay, let's go to the mastering instance. Okay, scanning activities. The ECS will be released. Or also release the areas and also release the load balancer. Okay, I managed instance. Release instance. Okay, I'll release it. Okay, so the RDS service will be released for this demonstration. And then the load balancer. Normally the servicer, so the load balancer will to instance. Okay, so this is will be released. Not okay. So the RDS the load mapping will be not available. Okay, because the service load balancer has been released and database release, and also let me check. Yeah, this scanning group has been released as well, and then I can delete. I'm aware of the instance and the associated resource to be released, and understand the data risk. Okay, I'm treat okay, and the auto scanning group will be released. Okay, so as we know, the service will be not available. So the entire service has been released. So I just show you the entire life cycle of the auto scaling and associate load balancer and database behind. Great. Thank you for your time and see you next time. Bye-bye.